All right, today we're going to make some Cranberry Bliss bars. This has become a favorite in our house. I have 1.5 cups of butter that it's partially melted, so I just did that in the microwave. Doesn't have to be completely melted, you just want it all nice and soft. And to that we're going to add 2¼ cups of brown sugar. And we're going to get this mixing in our mixer. I'm just going to put it on low. Come on in and take a look. Because it's melted, it mixes up very quickly. And then we're going to be adding in 3 eggs. And I also have 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract that I'm just going to pour in. As well as 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to add our flour, but I'm going to lift up my my head here because otherwise it's going to go all over the place. We're going to add in 3 cups of flour. It's a very quick, easy recipe. And when that's all coming together, we're going to add in 1 cup of white chocolate chips and 1 cup of dried cranberries. I'm just going to scrape at the bottom of my bowl. We just want to make sure we're getting mixed all the way to the bottom there. Looking good. Just mix for a few more seconds and then we're going to get this into our cookie sheet. All right, looks good. So I'm going to get out my cookie sheet and we're going to line it with parchment paper and then we're going to get our dough on there. All right, I've got my cookie sheet, which is a 12 by 17 by 1 inch cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. And if you just get your fingers a little bit wet, it just makes it a bit easier to spread out your dough because it's a sticky dough. And we're just going to spread this throughout the whole cookie sheet. It's a fairly thin layer. And then we're going to get it into a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes. All right, I've pulled this out of the oven. It's a little bit soft in the center here. I don't want to overbake it. You don't want to dry these out. So it was just a little bit soft, but this will settle very nicely. It's nice and golden. This was about 22 minutes in my oven. Every oven's a little bit different, so always check it. But it's a little bit darker brown around the edges, so it is baked. I just don't want to overbake it. So we're going to let this cool completely. And then we're going to make a glaze and then put our chopped cranberries and drizzled white chocolate on top. So let this cool completely first. All right, so my bars have cooled, so I'm going to make the frosting for it. I have 8 ounces of cream cheese. It's just room temperature. And I'm going to put in 2½ cups of icing sugar. And we're going to also put in a bit of vanilla. Just put in a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to get the mixer going. I'm going to probably let this mix for a good minute or so because I want this to end up being nice and creamy. So I'll show you what that looks like after it's mixed for several minutes. All right, I have been mixing for probably a minute and a half or so, and I scraped my bowl halfway so that I got any of the clumps from the bottom of my bowl. And this is just nice and smooth and creamy, as you can see. We're going to spread this on our bars. And then what you also want to do is chop up 1 cup of your dried cranberries. And we're just going to, just so that they're smaller pieces. Otherwise it doesn't spread over your bars very far. So I'm going to spread this on here. We're going to sprinkle on our cranberries, and then we're going to melt some white chocolate to drizzle on top. So just let me get this spread and I'll show you what that looks like. We're going to have some white chocolate that's going to go on drizzle on top. I'm going to use the white melting discs. I'm not even sure what these are called. There's the little white chocolate wafers. For some reason lately I've been finding that my chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, are not melting nicely. So I don't know if they've changed what's in the ingredients in there. I often find it seizes up. So I'm just going to melt this in the microwave while I'm getting the rest of this ready. I'm just going to put it in the microwave for 1 minute and then we're going to let it melt the rest in the cup. All right, so I've got my cream cheese spread. Just a nice thin layer. And then you're going to take your cranberries. And we're just going to sprinkle these on. Such a pretty bar. All right, the white chocolate was in for only 1 minute and it's melting nice. I'm just mixing it up to get any lumps out. And we're going to put it in a plastic bag so that we can drizzle it on easily. So I think I mentioned that you got to chop up your bigger cranberries so that it spreads much further on your bars, because 1 cup won't go very far if you leave them whole. So we're just going to put our white chocolate. Oh yeah, this melted way better than the white chocolate chips lately have not been melting nice. All right, so we are going to put this in a bag. Cut off the little tip on the end. And you're going to drizzle You're going to want to let this all chill and harden up before you cut your bars. And we end up cutting the bars into triangles. It's kind of the classic signature of this type of a bar. Anytime you see them, they're usually cut up in triangles. Just get all the chocolate out. And we're going to let this chill. I'm going to probably just put it in the fridge and then it can chill a little bit quicker so that we can cut them and put them in the freezer. All right, because we used parchment paper inside our cookie sheet, I'm able to pull it out of my cookie sheet. I cut first large bars, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 6 by 4, and now I'm cutting them on a diagonal so we can get our classic triangular pieces. And once you've got this all cut up, we're going to put it into our container. I'm going to put parchment paper between my layers so that they don't stick to each other, and I'm going to freeze it. These bars freeze very, very well. They're actually nice to eat frozen because they don't get super solid in the bottom. They stay a little bit soft. So get them all cut up, give these ones a try. It's super easy to make, and they're a hit around here. So give it a try for your next time you're doing some baking.